Hey, Patricia, for a game of chess?
Yeah. Do I need to make sure that you're not cheating?
Yeah, but the problem is that we might end up playing ourselves, or like
Yeah,
playing.
that's so who's gonna win, me or me? I think it's gonna be me.
Uh, you've had it this time, me. Yeah, honestly. So, for those of you who do not know what the hell we're talking about, this is Geri's game, and this features someone who actually might end up being familiar because it actually is the guy who was the cleaner in the Toy Story 2, who cleaned up Woody after his mishap with his arm.
Yeah. So if you're wondering about, where the character came from, well, here it is. And this is the first Pixar short in about 8 years because this is when they focus a lot more on doing 3D animated shorts for commercials like Tropicana and various other things. Right before they went off and they did Toy Story, and then Toy Story became a major phenomenon, and then they did A Bug's Life. And the first short exclusively for Pixar film was Geri's game.
Yeah, and this was a big thing for them at the time because obviously, as we said throughout the series, they've been struggling with human characters, and it kind of made me worry. Like when you first coming towards this, and kind of like what what things have been like. How do you make this character like likable in and pleasant to look at the same time? But he looks like a fun old gentleman, in
Yeah.
this, and he actually looks he actually looks really good when you're seeing him. He does actually look like an a crazy old guy who would be playing chess with himself in the park. Just it's
Yeah, and it looks a lot better with how they were able to do animation with humans as opposed to like when they did Tin Toy, and this was 10 years later. So they really knew how to animate properly on humans at this point. I mean, even though that we can argue that the original Toy Story doesn't hold up when it comes to the animation, especially with the humans and the way that Spud the dog was portrayed, but Jerry looks actually still pretty good.
Yeah, and on top of that as well, like this was so inspirational. It actually inspired remakes. So like, there's actually been like live action people actually like filming themselves in the park to play chess with themselves as an old man. So like, this actually has spawned some like this has been very creative. I think in that regard, spawning off like other side projects. But so the idea, I mean, it's a skit. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's a skit it won't be lost in a comedy show. Basically, it's an old guy playing chess with himself and basically trying to find ways to cheat himself out of the game. And he's not doing too well against himself, and so he spins the board round and basically cheats himself. And as the loser of the game, he has to hand over his dentures, apparently. So yeah, that was so it's a really fun short. I mean, one thing I would say about it is it's a very colorful one at that as well. Like they portray this in like the fall, in like the autumn time. Like he's there with his coat on. He's you can see the coloring of the leaves and things like that. So I mean, they were at the point where they can now differentiate between like times in the year and like the and also you can see that the sunlight's quite low as well. So obviously it's quite deep in the fall. So it's yeah, I really like this one. It does feel like something that you would probably watch during like September time or like October time or something like that. It's
Yeah, and I guess it kind of works with A Bug's Life because, as you know, it does go in the course of many seasons. It starts off in spring and then it concludes like around fall, in which they were able to not get the food for the grasshoppers, and then it goes back into spring again when all the circus bugs start beginning to leave, and then they go back into the circus, and they even bring some of the other ants and Hopper's brother along with them. So I guess it kind of fits season wise.
Yeah, it does. And so, I'm sorry, I just tripped over my cable. But
Okay.
one of the things it's one of the things I love about this film is that it's really this character is appealing to look at. The scenery around is appealing to look at as well. The pieces on the board actually feel like real wooden pieces as well, like as they've been chucked in the box as well. It's just like it does feel like a very dramatic chess game that you're watching here, and it's really awesome to really look through. And
Yeah, and also, if you're able to see the personality of Jerry, in which he's like very scheming and he's kind of like a little trickster, and he constantly plays on, joking on himself. Where if we see him as the cleaner in Toy Story 2, he's very serious. So we can kind of see that, he's serious when it comes to work, but on his off time, he can be very playful and mischievous.
Yeah. I like to think that's he's like he's for display only, and don't handle him too much. And now, if you excuse me, I'm going off to play chess with myself. Oh,
why did you have to call me why did you call me early in the morning, Al? I was in the middle of doing a chess game. I was beating myself 1-1.
So yeah, I just think it's this is a really fun short, and I would urge anybody to watch it. It's if you really want to know the dynamics of a funny skit, and just playing around with the elements of it, and the fact that it's it's a crazy old man in the park. It's such a fun shot. And some of that as well, I mean, we'd already seen this previously, but I think that his glasses actually look pretty amazing. You look through his lenses and you see that the reality is kind of blurring out and stuff like that, and you can see that it's zooming in and zooming out in the face of the character. I just find all the small details that they put into the human character it's amazing at this point. And so,
yeah, absolutely. And how would you say this would rank up with the other shorts that would be done in the other theatrical Pixar films? Because this is the first one. It's kind of like with Andre and Wally B. It's it was a rough start, but they were able to get better and better as they progressed.
Well, I think this is an important step forward, because as we all know, they weren't all overly confident, I think, with human characters. I mean, even in Toy Story, obviously, Andy and his mom and even Sid himself were kind of questionable, back in that time. But so I think this was important for Pixar. I think this was to say, okay, we can definitely do really respectable human characters, I think, in this, and I think this will be an important step going forward, and all the characters that going on towards doing Ratatouille and The Incredibles, and doing various other Pixar movies that involved human characters. I think it was an important first step for them to kind of go through that, because then they can say to themselves, yeah, we're confident in doing this. Look at what we've just done with Geri's game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Geri's name, the Gary's mod of of Pixar film. Sorry, Pixar shorts, I guess you could say. But yeah. All right then. Coming up next, we are going to be talking about a Pixar which is called For the Birds, but I don't think it's for the birds, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I don't think so either.